Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live. Woo! We got a show today. I've got an NBA draft show tonight, about 2 hours from now. Get out my good buddies, Barry Grant Jr. from the All Even podcast, Mike Guido from Guido's Gridiron Blitz. I've had both on the show before. Both know what they're talking about in regards to the NBA draft. I am wearing, for the live audience, my Steph Curry jersey because 12 years ago, the Golden State Warriors, my Warriors, had the 7th overall pick, and they drafted a skinny kid out of Davidson named Stephen Curry. And last I checked, I think he's doing pretty well in the league, doing pretty well for himself and for the Warriors. So a lot to get into. Some breaking news to get into in literally just a second. I'll start the show off. Also, they're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers' very telling press conference. We hear a lot of cliches thrown out by quarterbacks at press conference. Aaron Rodgers just spilled it out all over the table. All over the table, in front of the media in Green Bay, left no doubts about how he feels about the organization. Also going to get into Simone Biles and what I think of her pulling out of the Olympics due to mental health. Get into that later in the show. And also Ben Simmons. Speaking of the Warriors and Sixers were in trade talks for Ben Simmons. And wait till you hear what the Sixers wanted for Ben. I'll save that for later on the show. But first, breaking news. We've had Woj bombs, and we've got our first, Woj bomb that just dropped about 30 minutes ago. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, this is his tweet. The Lakers are near a deal to acquire Washington's Russell Westbrook for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and a 2021 first-round pick. Well, let me make Lakers fans feel good about themselves to start, because I know this could be some tough news for some. The good news for the Lakers is your scapegoat, Kyle Kuzma, is finally gone. Now, I'm with y'all. Kuzma is one of the players that would drive me crazy if he were on my Warriors. Kuz would drive me nuts. And so you no longer got to deal with his nonsense on the court and off the court and some of the stuff he comes in the arena wearing. I don't know. He's trying to be Westbrook. I don't know. But, man, that dude is something else. So you don't have to deal with Kuzma. Okay? I know they liked Montrezl Harrell there. He's gone. And I really don't like that they trade KCP. I feel like he was a good asset. Possibly bring back to try and go after another championship. Good shooter off the bench, possibly, or even in the starting lineup. He can contribute for you. But I talked about this trade scenario last week. It said that the reports were saying that the Lakers were kind of dipping their toes in the water on a possible Russell Westbrook trade. And I said on this show last week, you can look it up, it makes no sense. I don't know what world they think this would actually work. And they pulled it off. Now, we had heard trade talks up until an hour ago. I don't know if they're still ongoing, that the Lakers were going to try and acquire Buddy Hield, who I thought would be a great fit. Because what does LeBron love? Shooters. Because we all know he's the most gifted passer in the game since Magic Johnson. Some argue he's better than Magic. I wouldn't go that far, but he's up there. Loves to kick it to shooters. Why? It's just like Giannis in a way. Giannis isn't as good as LeBron is at this, but when LeBron drives for the basket, the freight train that he is, 6'9", 270, and the defense collapse, bam, kick it to an open shooter. Kick it to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Or at times even Alex Caruso, who I believe shot 40% from three this year. And so you add Buddy Hield to that, it's like this is a guy that easily shoots 40% from three, was second in the NBA last season in three-pointers made, to Steph Curry, of course. Perfect fit for the Lakers. I don't know if those trade talks are still ongoing. But now to Russell Westbrook. And it looks like he's about to be a Laker. This, to me, puts the Lakers out of the championship picture. They got LeBron coming back. They got Anthony Davis coming back. Yeah, you don't know if he's going to be available due to injury. Now they had Russell Westbrook. Let's just talk about salary, just to start, because I talked about this last week. Next season, and this was the hypothetical if Westbrook became a Laker. I talked about this last week. Russell Westbrook is going to make $44 million this year. LeBron's going to make $41 million this year. Anthony Davis is going to make $33 million this year. Does that sound like a winning formula? Where's your bench? Where is your bench if you're the Lakers? Okay, to make matters worse, next year, 2022, 2023, Westbrook's making $47 million, LeBron's making $44 million, and AD's making $37 million. You have no bench. None. You have no bench. And what do we know? Look at the Brooklyn Nets, big three. KD and Kyrie and James Harden, right? 2 or 3 great scorers. Their bench was a no-show in the playoffs. Joe Harris, nowhere to be found. Blake Griffin, up and down. Really bad on the road. Nick Claxton, I thought would be a pretty integral part of their rotation. DeAndre Jordan. Both of them got multiple DMPs during the playoffs. You need a bench. Look at the Bucks. What the Bucks show you. Last year, they had no depth. I said all season they're not going to win because A, Chris Middleton is their second best player. And at that point, Chris Middleton hadn't had any great playoff moments. And 2, they don't have a bench. What happened? They lost in the second round. What did they do this year? They added Drew Holiday. They traded for PJ Tucker. And they went after Bobby Portis. They added depth. And they're the NBA champions. Okay, so when you look at the Lakers right now, yeah, you got LeBron and Westbrook and AD, but you don't have a bench. I mean, I thought KCP was a very valuable piece for that team the last 2 years. He's a guy LeBron likes. He's with Clutch Sports, right? Rich Paul. Well, he's not a Laker anymore. And so let's talk about fit now. Now, Westbrook is a guy, I feel like if you say one negative thing about Russell Westbrook, you're a hater. You hate Russell Westbrook. I don't hate Russell Westbrook because I don't hate anybody. 2 things could be true about Westbrook. The first thing that is true is that his triple doubles and the stats he puts up are mind-blowing. We need to give this man his respect about what he's done in regards to the numbers he's put up. I mean, he's had 2, not 1, 2 20 games. 20 points, 20 rebounds, 20 assists. That's unbelievable. Only Wilt Chamberlain has done that. When you're getting into Wilt territory when it comes to stats, you're doing something. But like Wilt, the second thing that is true about Westbrook is the numbers and the stats and the triple doubles, they don't contribute to winning at the highest level. They don't. This guy's had Kevin Durant. He had Kevin Durant for 8 years. Won finals. And the finals they got to, he was awful. Games 2 through 5. When KD left, he's had Paul George. Paul George's second and final year in OKC, he was an MVP candidate. I think he might have finished 3rd in the MVP voting behind Giannis, who won it, and James Harden, who came in 2nd. He's had Carmelo Anthony. Don't laugh at, he's not prime Carmelo, not prime Melo, but look what he's done in Portland. Okay. He's had James Harden twice. He had 6-man James Harden. He had league's leading scorer, James Harden. Same result. I mean, he's just taken into account since KD left him, he got bounced in 5 games. The year he won MVP, by the way, most valuable player, bounced in 5 games in the first round against an Houston team that had a great player, James Harden. The next year, he had Melo and Paul George. Got beat in 6 games by the Jazz and Donovan Mitchell, who was a rookie. A year after that, he got severely outplayed by Damian Lillard, who I've always said was the better player. Bounced in 5. Lillard waved them goodbye. So he joins James Harden in Houston, gets traded there. They barely survive OKC in the first round in 7 games, and they get gentlemen swept in the second round by the eventual champion Lakers. This year, he puts up unbelievable numbers again. He has Bradley Beal as a teammate, second in scoring this past season to Steph. Didn't matter. Got gentlemen swept in the first round by Philadelphia. His stats are unbelievable. It doesn't contribute to winning. He had Kevin Durant. The second Kevin Durant left him, he won 2 championships and won 2 finals MVPs. And something else is that there's a lot of guys out there that know they're not good shooters, that are aware of that. Westbrook is not a good shooter. Matter of fact, he's terrible. He doesn't seem to recognize that because he jacks 3 after 3 after 3 after he plays 100 miles an hour. And sometimes you got to dial it back. Some of that, Westbrook looking tired in the playoffs. Oh, he has no help. No, he's exhausted because he puts too much effort in the regular season. I'm not saying, don't put effort in. I applaud him for his effort. I mean, he and Giannis play harder than any other stars in the league, in my view. But by the time he gets to the postseason, he's exhausted. He doesn't play the game the way a point guard should play the game. He's inefficient. He shot a career low from 3, and he's not a good 3-point shooter. This is a horrible fit for the Lakers. And I have no idea why they made this trade. They'd be way better off going after Kyle Lowry, who I've said. I think Lonzo Ball would be a beautiful fit for the Lakers because he can play defense. He's really developed a 3-point game. He shot 38%. His free throw shooting's gotten better. The Lakers are already a great defensive team. You add Lonzo in place of Dennis Schroeder, who's going to leave. It's perfect. Even Chris Paul, if he comes at a reduced contract, and the way Chris Paul's talking, it sounds like he's probably coming back to Phoenix. We'll see what that contract looks like when it's all said and done. But when I look at this, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And I have a comment here from my man John Rivera Fan Podcast. Shout out to him. He says Lakers winning the championship next year. Man, I don't see it. I don't see how you could have what LeBron needed was A, rest. Well, he's got that. And B, shooters and a point guard. A good, smart, high basketball IQ veteran point guard like Kyle Lowry. Like a Chris Paul possibly. Like even Lonzo. Lonzo is 22, 23 years old. His basketball IQ is way higher than Russell Westbrook's. And so I thought the Lakers were putting this together perfectly. I thought the Lakers were putting this together beautifully. They're in trade talks with the Kings to go get Buddy Hield. I'm like, good. This is a good fit for the Lakers. LeBron loves shooters. And Buddy Hield's one of the best shooters in basketball. Okay? You can go after a Kyle Lowry or Lonzo, and you settle for an expensive, older, inefficient Russell Westbrook. Eddie Blanks says this is a superb move by the Lakers. I don't see it. I don't see any, unless Westbrook restructures his contract, which I don't think he'll do. And unless he completely changes his game, because something else I talked about last week, neither Westbrook or even LeBron, neither are that good off the ball. It's not necessarily a knock on them, but when you have 2 guys that are not good moving without the basketball, it's going to be a little stagnant. It's going to be a lot of iso ball. It's not really going to work. It's not really going to work. John says, only move they could have done. No money. They also didn't give up anything. Obviously, you wanted to get rid of Kuz. Mission accomplished. You got rid of Kyle Kuzma. That's obviously a celebration for the Lakers in and of itself. But you gave up KCP. That's a shooter. Gone. Now, Montrez was probably going to get traded with Kuz, so I understand that. But I don't see any universe where this makes any sense. Where you have, listen, this very well, he's 37, he's going into year 19. Doesn't mean he's not going to be very good. This could be the last year of LeBron's prime. Very well could be the case. And so when I sit back, I'm like, you got to go get him a championship. See if maybe you can trust AD. I don't think you can, but see if maybe AD can finally stay healthy for a full season. Yeah, he did it last year. He had a 4-month break, guys. He had a 4-month break going to the bubble. There's no asterisk. I always say no asterisks next to titles, ever. But more times than not, he's not healthy and inconsistent as well, as great as he is. Eddie Blank says, dude, you act like they're not going to get shooters. Relax, bro. Where's the money to go get the shooters is my question. And who are the assets what are the assets they can use to trade? Because they just traded. I detailed what they gave up for Westbrook. Kuz, Montrez, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and their first-round pick this year. Like, all that's gone. So they don't have, I mean, maybe they could 2022 pick, but I don't know if that's going to convince a team. I mean, Landry Shamet, for example, just got traded to the Phoenix Suns. So that's a shooter off the market. Seth Curry's probably going to stay in Philadelphia. They're probably not going to move him. He says mid-level exceptions, maybe. But what you want is veterans. LeBron loves veterans. Remember the one year he had a bunch of kids in LA? That first year he was with the Lakers, it was kind of a train wreck, right? Because you had Lonzo and Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma, and it didn't work. Zubas, it didn't work at all. It did not work at all. LeBron likes veterans. He likes dudes that can help him win right now. Now, shooters, listen, you can never have enough shooters. And so I really thought the Lakers were doing something, like something big. You go get Buddy Hield, and then you go get a smart veteran point guard, and they trade for Russell Westbrook. Makes no sense to me. John Rivera, this could help. He says Melo coming. That would help, but then again, it's another ISO player. I just don't know. Like, what's your starting lineup look like? Is it Westbrook? I guess either Caruso or THT at the 2. LeBron, Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond's a free agent. They're probably not bringing him back. Whatever center you want to plug in. Gasol's not coming back. So, do you put AD at the 5 and Melo in the starting lineup? I don't think AD wants all that contact down low. I don't think he wants all that. Eddie Blank says JJ Redick, Blake Griffin, Carmelo Anthony, Mo Harkless. I wouldn't exactly consider Blake Griffin, although he's improved, I wouldn't consider him a shooter. And we saw him at the ISO game in Brooklyn, and it was successful at times, at least at home, but on the road, that did not travel. Melo just detailed. I think that wouldn't be a great fit now that they've added Westbrook due to ISO not moving without the basketball. Mo Harkless maybe. JJ Redick can contribute to just about everybody, so maybe that'd be a good fit. But this trade makes no sense. Let me now transition to Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if I've ever been more shocked after a press conference by a guy. So this is the first time Aaron Rodgers has truly spoken publicly about his frustrations with the Green Bay Packers. And what he said is kind of what we already knew, but there was one point, and I'll get into it in just a second, where I was wrong. I was dead wrong. And I'll save that for a little later on. Aaron Rodgers spoke to the media in Green Bay for about 30 minutes. And essentially what he said is, they never gave me a voice. I didn't like how many veterans who contributed to winning a lot of games for us were kicked out the back door. Guys like Charles Woodson and Clay Matthews, Micah Hyde, Julius Peppers. He listed a lot of guys. Charles Woodson went back to Oakland with the Raiders and went to a Pro Bowl his last year. It wasn't like Charles Woodson, he's a Hall of Famer. We're going to let him go to the Pro Bowl just one last time. Kind of like Wade and Dirk in the 2019 NBA All-Star game. Like, neither were All-Stars at that stage in their career, but they're like, you know what? Let's go and give them this honor. One last All-Star game. That wasn't the case. Charles Woodson earned a Pro Bowl that year in 2015. Clay Matthews contributed fairly well to the LA Rams. Julius Peppers, same case. Micah Hyde has been excellent in Buffalo. Casey Hayward is another guy Aaron Rodgers brought up. Look what Casey Hayward's done with the Chargers. My goodness. So he's saying, you just let some of our best players just walk out the door. And even this offseason, you look at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was going to leave. Apparently, he wanted to stay to play with Aaron Rodgers. Took a pay cut. That's the only reason Green Bay kept him. If he went out there and got market value, he's not a Green Bay Packer today. Okay, their center, they just let walk out the back door. Just let him go. And Davante Adams. Some argue he is the best receiver in football. I say he's about 2 or 3, but he's as good as they come. And he's having contract disputes with the Packers right now because they won't pay him market value. Has Davante Adams earned that? Yeah, he has. Yeah, he has. Look at his numbers. Look what he's done for Aaron Rodgers. Look what he's done for the Packers. Touchdown after touchdown after 100-yard game after 100-yard game. He's earned that right. He's one of the best in the business, no question about it. So when I sit back and look at this, Aaron said basically, Packers, you're cheap. There was even a point in the press conference where he said, listen, I love my teammates, I love my coaches. I love whether that's intentional or not, whether he hesitated on the I love the organization part, I don't know. You can look that up for yourself and decide. But he made it very clear. And this is the part where I was wrong. I thought, and I said on this show for however long this story's been out, 3 months, they said he wants out of Green Bay. He's done. He wants out of there. And no, he said, love my teammates. He couldn't speak highly enough of his teammates. Matt LaFleur was the one who surprised me. I thought maybe, being the personality Aaron is, I thought maybe he had held a grudge against Matt LaFleur. We all know how the NFC Championship game ended, right? He had a 4th and goal at the 8, down 8 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just outside of 2 minutes left. And we're all thinking, yeah, they're going to go for it. And Matt LaFleur opted for the field goal. And so, never gave Aaron Rodgers that one last chance to possibly score the touchdown and maybe tie it with a 2-point conversion. Aaron has, at every corner, at every turn, voiced his support for Matt LaFleur. He basically said, this is on the organization. And something else, and this is, I'll tell you, this is where I completely side with Aaron, completely, is when he said, listen, if you're going to make a move, go and make it. If you're going to draft Jordan Love, if he is the future of your franchise, if he is in your immediate plans, okay, but don't make me a lamed up quarterback. And so that's literally the word he used, lame duck. Because how does Aaron win with Green Bay? Not obviously winning games. I'm just talking about in this current situation. They drafted Jordan Love. Clearly, they think he is the future franchise quarterback, or they would not have traded for him at the bottom of the first round to go get him out of Utah State. They thought Aaron was declining. He had a good, not great 2019 season, although they did win 13 games and fall 1 win short of the Super Bowl. In the words of Aaron himself months ago when he won the MVP, he said, I threw a wrench into it when I won the MVP. So he's saying, just make a decision. If you want to trade Jordan, if you still think I can play, which obviously we all know Aaron Rodgers can play, he won the MVP for crying out loud. Okay, trade Jordan Love. If you want to go and go with this kid, okay, trade me. It's not fair to Jordan Love either. It's not fair to either guy. Because Aaron's saying, listen, I want somebody to commit to me. If it's you, awesome. I want to be here. He even said in the press conference, I want to retire a Green Bay Packer. He didn't even rule out coming back for next season, the 2022 season. And we had seen the reports, and I believe the terminologies of the contract might have come out fairly recently. They actually did. That the 2023 year in his contract is voided. So they just took that year off the contract. So he's got 2 years left on his deal with Green Bay. So they still own his rights next year. That's the interesting part of it. And it's not fair to Jordan Love. He's like, I thought I was the guy, and he wants out, but you won't trade him. But you say I'm the future, and it doesn't make any sense. So the front office in Green Bay looks bad right now. Really bad. It's really interesting to me that, they say Jordan loves the future. He looks so great in camp. Well, then trade Aaron Rodgers. We've heard some compare him. He's the next Mahomes, which anytime people say that, it's like, do you realize what you're saying? You're talking about the best quarterback in all of football. You think your guy is the next him? You don't have to win a Super Bowl if you don't have you don't have to have Patrick Mahomes to win a Super Bowl. You can win with plenty of the elite guys in the league. Your guy at the next Mahomes, and that's what Green Bay said. And he looks so good in minicamp. Then trade Aaron Rodgers. You could get a haul for Aaron Rodgers. Give Jordan Love more help. He's on a rookie deal. You can trade for veterans, for star players on big contracts. Why? You've got the money to pay them. Why? Jordan Love's on a rookie deal. They just haven't made up their mind yet. And that's what Aaron's saying. Just make a decision. Trade me or trade him. Don't put either of us in this situation. Aaron's also spoken glowingly of Jordan Love. He said, I like Jordan. Like the kid. He's got nothing against him. It's not his fault that the situation is what it is. It has everything to do with the guys upstairs. And another thing that Aaron pointed out is, and listen, this might offend the people in Green Bay, Wisconsin, or Packers fans all over the country and the world, but it's true. He said, in regards to free agency decisions, I think I've earned the right to get to have a voice in those conversations. Because, as Aaron put it himself, Green Bay isn't exactly a vacation destination. Guys aren't going to Green Bay for the cheese, or like they would go to Miami for the weather, or Los Angeles for the weather, or even in some cases, look what the Cardinals did in the offseason. Like, we've seen guys go to places where it's like, man, that's not about winning. That's just about money and climate. You don't go to Green Bay for climate. Frankly, you don't go there for money either. They don't pay anybody. But what Aaron said is true. It's kind of like, the Joakim Noah joke years ago about Cleveland. Cavs fans, and I've picked on Cleveland for a long time on this show. But I agree with Joakim Noah, right? He said years ago, he had beef with Cavs fans, and somebody asked him, do you like Cleveland? He said, no. He said, think about it. Would you take your kids on vacation to Cleveland? No. You don't take your family on vacation to Green Bay, right? If a free agent is going to Green Bay, it's to play with Aaron Rodgers. As I pointed out time and time again on this show, they've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks over the last 30 years. 30 years is a long time. It may go by quickly, but it's a long time. 2, it doesn't work this way. You don't go from first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, Brett Favre, transition directly, immediately to future first ballot Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. That's not how it works. Usually if you have, Dan Marino retires and the Dolphins are still looking for a quarterback. They don't even know if Tua's the guy. They drafted him with the 5th pick a year ago. And they don't know if he's the guy. They're still looking. And so, for Green Bay, you had 2 first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the last 30 years and 2 Super Bowls to show for it. That's embarrassing. We pick on the Cowboys, and I'm a Cowboys fan, but people pick on the Cowboys. Well, they had Aikman, and it took a long time, and then Romo, and then to Dak. There's been a long drought in Dallas, but even in the last 30 years, they've got more rings than the Packers. The Packers have had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, who are probably 2 of the top 10 greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. And they both played at Lambeau Field for a living. I don't know. I just look at it and I say, man, Green Bay blanked this up. They blanked this up. And years from now, they're going to look back when Rodgers is playing in Denver, or Vegas, wherever he's playing. And they're going to be a Jordan Love. And they're going to be winning 7 games a year. Nobody's even discussing them in the championship picture. And they're going to be sitting back thinking, dang, we really messed this up. And that's what they're doing. So, a little more serious topic. I see a comment here from Harry Tran. What's up, Harry? He says, Ben Simmons a good fit for the Golden State Warriors. I will get into Ben Simmons right after this upcoming topic, so stay right there. You definitely will not want to miss that. But a more serious topic, Simone Biles, probably the most talked about story in all sports this week, and that is saying something. You know, we got the draft. By the way, Carving It Up draft show, an hour and a half from now. Mike Guido, Barry Grant Jr. joins the show. We're going to break down every single pick, as well as breaking news coming the NBA. You don't want to miss it right here, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter. Again, you don't want to miss it. But in a week with a lot of stories, Westbrook just got traded to Aaron Rodgers. Simone Biles has been the biggest story in all of sports because she is the greatest American athlete we have at the Olympics, without a doubt. And Monday, I think it was Monday, she pulled out of the Olympics citing mental health reasons. And first of all, mental health has been a huge topic on this show. Matter of fact, I actually had, and I may just re-upload the podcast because it was just a podcast, wasn't a live. It was just a podcast episode a few months ago. I interviewed Dr. John Deloney, who has a podcast radio show. You can go check him out. He's got a book. It's a really good one. But he's a mental health specialist. And I talked to him and I asked him about athletes in regards to all these athletes that have spoken out about mental health and how important it is to keep that going as healthy as well as your physical health. He said it's huge. He said, if you don't have, this is a professional, by the way, this is not me, this is a professional. He said, if these athletes, these incredible men and women are not great here, they're not going to perform the way we know they're capable of performing in their respective sport. In the last competition Simone Biles had, I don't know much about gymnastics, so I'm obviously out of my league here. But I heard Lori Hernandez, who is a teammate of hers on Team USA, another great gymnast. And she was breaking down Simone's, it's like she does like a 2.5 flips or something like that. If there's anybody that knows gymnastics, please chime into the comments and help me out here. But essentially, she's supposed to go 2.5 times. She went 1.5. She kind of turned her head to the right and came down. The fact that she came down was unbelievable. If you have something like that happen to you right in the middle of what you're doing in gymnastics, folks, it can kill you. You know, about 4 years ago, Kevin Love, who has obviously been one of the most outspoken athletes in regards to mental health, Kevin Love was playing in a game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're playing the Miami Heat in Cleveland. And during a timeout, out of nowhere, Kevin Love just takes off for the locker room and his face is kind of buried in his hands in his jersey. And he had a panic attack. Came out of nowhere. He said he was gasping for air. The training staff was in there and it just came out of nowhere. It hit him. He had no way of knowing that this was going to happen or that this was coming. It just came. I know people that have anxiety, and anybody that has anxiety will tell you it just hits you. You don't know that it is coming. And so when you have, this is unbelievable. When you have people out here talking about Simone Biles, she's a quitter. She's not mentally tough. Okay. First of all, you don't become the greatest gymnast of all time. Let's just say that one more time again. Greatest gymnast of all time. She's the greatest ever to do what she does. You don't become Tom Brady or Serena Williams or Michael Phelps or Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan. GOATs all the way around if you're not mentally tough. Simone Biles does not have the record for the most world medals if she's not mentally tough. Quitters don't have the most world medals of any gymnast ever. Quitters don't even sniff this level. You know, they said this would be like the equivalent of a quarterback just walking away out of nowhere. If Tom Brady just said, I'm done. They're playing a game, he's done. Andrew Luck, 2 years ago, during a preseason game, this was during the preseason game, retired out of nowhere. Why? He had a lot of injuries from some bad offensive lines early in his tenure as the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of injuries. And rehab after rehab. Any athlete will tell you rehab is harder than any workout you will ever do. And when you have rehab after rehab after rehab, it takes a toll on you mentally. It takes a toll on you mentally. And Andrew Luck said, I can't do it anymore. I can't. Michael Jordan. If you notice, there's a group of people who are just killing Simone Biles right now, who praise Michael Jordan as the mentally toughest athlete ever. And he was mentally tough. I'm not going to poo-poo on that for a second. But he retired. Why? His father was murdered. After that third Bulls championship, the first three-peat in 1993, out of nowhere, he retired. In part because the trauma due to losing his dad, who was his best friend. You look at other athletes. Michael Phelps, the greatest Olympian ever. He's talked about his mental health struggles. He said he's contemplated suicide before. And so you have a fellow Olympian from America who's talked about his mental health struggles. DeMar DeRozan has dealt with depression. Okay. You look at Naomi Osaka, who had a very similar mood to Simone Biles, she pulled out of the French Open because Osaka is an introverted person. You see any interview with her and she's, very quiet, very meek. She's not very much of a boisterous personality. That's okay. Everybody has their own personality. And she said the interviews gave her anxiety. Again, anxiety. I know people that have it. It just comes out of nowhere. You can't see it coming. Matter of fact, the doctor that I talked to, he's dealt with anxiety. It just wakes you up in the middle of the night and you don't know. You don't know this coming and it just hits you. And so the worst case scenario is if Simone goes out there dealing with what she's dealing with and gets her or isn't her best self, and the media and social media and everybody's jumping all over her. Because now she's dealing with anxiety and overly harsh criticism. Whereas she's saying, you know what? There's going to be criticism, but there's also going to be a lot of support. And I'm taking care of myself. That's the thing. I heard one pundit say, and he made a good point. I think it was actually LeVar Arrington, former NFL linebacker. He said there's a lot of money put into these weight facilities and the weights and the gyms and all these. Look at college. Some of these college weight facilities are nicer than some professional, because they're millions of dollars have been put into those to keep athletes at the tip top shape. That if they have an injury, if they have a toe injury, a pinky toe injury to a torn Achilles, they've got doctors. They've got specialists. They got the best in the world to take care of them, to get them back to health, 100% health as quickly as possible. But if there's mental health struggles, they don't have that. So maybe that's something that needs to be talked about more, is having more mental health specialists to help these athletes that are dealing with stuff. And so I applaud Simone Biles. She's a strong woman, no question about it. She's an inspiration to every young girl who wants to be a gymnast, every young girl who has big dreams in this country can look at Simone Biles and say, you know what? I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to be as great as I can be. And if there's ever a time where something's not right, anxiety or whatever, any kind of mental health problems that they could be dealing with, they can look to Simone Biles and say, you know what? Look how she handled it. Look how she handled it. Dak Prescott has talked about Simone Biles. Well, he did talk about Simone recently, but Dak Prescott has dealt with depression, anxiety. And he said anxiety just comes out of nowhere. So I see a few comments here from Eddie Blanks. He says, I respect that you are giving Biles credit. She is one of the greatest athletes ever. That, Mr. Eddie, Mr. Blanks, she 100% is. She gains even more respect from me and anybody out there that tries to disrespect what she's done. Oh, she's a quitter. You don't become the greatest ever by quitting. What's the old cliche? Quitters never win and winners never quit. This is not quitting. If Simone broke her leg, nobody expected her to go out there and perform. She just broke her leg. It's a physical injury. Well, maybe it's time to give more attention to mental health obstacles and problems that athletes and anybody out there is dealing with. So I applaud her. I'll tell you one thing that she said, if I can pull this up here. I think it was a social media post on, I think it was on Instagram. She might have put it on Twitter as well. She said, and this is just sad to me. She said, quote, the outpouring of love and support I've realized has made me realize, or excuse me, the outpouring of love and support I've received has made me realize I'm more than my accomplishments in gymnastics, which I never truly believed before. You know, a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when the Richard Sherman story happened, and obviously that's a different scenario in a different situation from Simone Biles, obviously. And, obviously we don't condone what Richard Sherman did. But we've seen athletes who are great at the top of their game, and when they're done, it's like, what do they do? Because there's people out there that are athletes out there that found their worth and found their value in their sport and in the recognition that it brought them. And so when they were done, it's like, what do I do now? What now? And so it sounds like Simone was possibly in that group where she was so great and gets the recognition that she rightfully has earned and deserves. And she almost saw that as her identity. Keep in mind as well, she was one of the many, many gymnasts who were victims of Larry Nassar, who, thank the Lord above, is rotting in jail right now. So she has that trauma to deal with. So listen, man, mental health, it's something I've talked about in the show time and time and time again. I applaud any athlete, anybody in general that speaks openly and candidly and honestly about it. And to Simone, man, hats off to you. Hats off to you. And I know when you do come back, it's going to be great. You're going to do more somethings that we've never seen before. Athletes like these, they don't just come around. These are once in a generation athletes. If you're Simone, if you're Tom Brady, if you're Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, Michael Phelps, the list goes on. You don't get there by being a quitter or not being mentally tough. But then again, the people that are saying that probably weren't that successful themselves. So now shifting a little bit of a more lighthearted subject, Ben Simmons. We've heard for the last 2 months or so that he's been on the trading block for the Philadelphia 76ers and that they were looking to possibly move off him. And for good reason. Ben Simmons is a guy that's driven me absolutely nuts. And I don't even like Philadelphia. Like, as a Cowboys fan, I don't like the Eagles. I don't like the Philadelphia fan base in general. I don't like any of their teams. I don't like the Phillies. I don't like the 76ers. I don't even watch hockey. And I don't like the Flyers. I don't like anybody. I don't Ben Simmons does not care. And so when I look at this, I look at a guy who came out of LSU in 2016, missed his entire first year due to injury. He comes in 2017. He ends up winning Rookie of the Year that year. And we see, oh, he's a gifted passer and a great defensive player and a good rebounder. But he can't shoot. Well, you know what? It hurts Philadelphia right now, but he'll improve. He'll get better. We've had a lot of guys come into this league that can't shoot. Heck, LeBron wasn't that good of a shooter for most of his career. And until the last 3-4 years, he's developed a fairly consistent three-point shot, jump shot. His mid-range still isn't great, but he has improved since his rookie year. Look at a guy like Lonzo Ball, who had one of the ugliest jump shots we've ever seen coming out of UCLA, shooting, kind of like this, instead of like a normal jump shot. And he's changed it completely. And that's hard to do. He's been shooting thousands upon thousands upon thousands of shots with that shooting motion and shooting form. But he changed it. And what do you know? His three-point percentage has went significantly up. Simmons has not improved one iota shooting from the perimeter. Not at all. And so apparently the 76ers think that my Golden State Warriors, run by one of the best general managers in sports, Bob Myers, they must think we are really, really stupid or really, really high. One of the two. Because the Sixers were in trade talks with my Golden State Warriors. And I've said on this show, I will lose it if we trade for Ben Simmons. I don't want this guy anywhere near the Bay Area. Unless he's in Sacramento or somebody or somewhere. I don't care. I don't care where he plays as long as it ain't with my team. We got too many dogs. We got too many great players to have this dude. And according to Keith Pompey, the Philadelphia 76ers were going to trade Ben Simmons to the Warriors. Here's what they were asking. Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, both lottery picks coming up in this year's draft, and 2 future first-round picks. All that for Ben Simmons. Again, they must think they're making a deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers or, I don't know, the Minnesota Timberwolves or somebody. In what universe does this make sense? I mean, Philadelphia is a smart organization. Daryl Morey is one of the best general managers in all basketball. He hasn't won a championship yet, but something you can count on with Daryl Morey, his teams are always good. They're always kind of in it. Whether they're clear-cut championship contenders or if maybe they're sleepers, but they're almost always in the picture. He's a smart general manager. And he put together a really good team in Philadelphia last year in his first year. He thinks he's going to get all that for Ben Simmons. Really? So Golden State is going to give up their future, James Wiseman, who I have said time and time again on this show, I said it even before the draft a year ago, that I think he is going to be one of the best big men in all of basketball by the time he grows up and matures and develops his game. So they want him. They want Andrew Wiggins, who defensively had a career year. He's a walking 20 points a game, which is valuable anywhere, and shot a career high from three-point range. They want him too. They want 2 lottery picks, the 7th pick and the 14th pick in this year's draft, and 2 future first-rounders. Are you kidding? We even heard the report earlier that Philadelphia is asking for a similar package to what the Rockets got for James Harden. So they think a team out there is going to see Ben Simmons in the same light as the Brooklyn Nets saw James Harden, one of the 5 best scorers in all of basketball, led the league in assists. He's an MVP. He's an MVP finalist multiple times, multi-time All-Star, future first ballot Hall of Famer. And they think a team is going to take Ben Simmons for that same or a similar trade package. They have officially lost their mind. I think Ben Simmons is going to be traded, but it's not going to be for that kind of package. So I don't even want to give a hats off to the Warriors. Because, how do you give a hats off to somebody for doing what they should, and that's keeping your championship hopes intact? I've said on this show, I think Bradley Beal, I'm not giving up hope, guys. I'm not giving up hope that Bradley Beal in the next 2 hours or so could be a Golden State Warrior. I'm not giving up hope that we can trade those picks, Wiggins, maybe somebody else, for Bradley Beal. Because here's the thing, Beal's all by himself in Washington now that Westbrook is gone. So is he going to want to average 30 a game? Yeah, but not even sniff the playoffs in the East. I'm just saying. But they are. I might actually make that deal. What the Sixers were asking from the Warriors, I might actually give that to the Wizards for Bradley Beal. Might want to add another player in there like a Robin Lopez or a Rui Hachimura, a good role player that they have. But for a guy that was a walking 4 points a game in the second round against the Hawks, who has not improved his three-point game 1 inch, and who late in games has to be taken out because A, he doesn't care, and B, he can't shoot, despite his defensive prowess. That says a lot about Ben Simmons to me. So thank God the Warriors did not make that deal. Goodness gracious. There's even more Woj bombs. There's a lot more with the draft that I could get into right now, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for an hour from now, a little over an hour from now. The Carving It Up Live NBA Draft Reaction Show. I'll be joined by Barry Grant Jr. and Mike Guido, two good friends of the show, two very smart guys with the NBA and the draft. Guido especially is just a draft nerd. He'll tell you that himself. Gonna have a great time tonight, so be sure to stop by 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time right here, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter. So see y'all in about an hour. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. God bless, and peace out.